Alrighty, guys, another episode of Shellonomics here. I am with our dude who has a insane amount of movie props from the 1990s, Turtles 1 and Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, Geoff. Geoff, thanks for coming on today. How you doing, man?
Hi, good to meet you.
Oh, pleasure.
I'm doing good.
So, how did you first get introduced in the Turtles? And we're going to talk about pretty much the two movies, but what was your first origin of Ninja Turtles?
So it started with the toys. I was born in '84, so I think I was about 5 years old. It was just before the movie came out that I started collecting the toys. I started watching the cartoon show, and then I remember the Burger King VHS tapes that came out, and I remember at the beginning of the tape they had the trailer for the new movie. So I begged my mom and dad to take me to the movie. So that was actually the first movie that I saw as a kid. And then when I went to the movie theater, they actually had the arcade machine there too. So that was when I was first introduced to the arcade machine. So it kind of all came full circle watching that movie. But my brother and I used to like dance around in front of the TV where, I was 5 and he was 4 and watch the cartoon together. My favorite turtle at the time was Raphael, and then my brother's was Michelangelo. And then I always wanted, a movie prop from the movie. I collected movie props from other films, but finding anything from the Ninja Turtles was at the time pretty hard. So, yeah. So that's what I started out, with the toys, the cartoon, and then that rolled into the movie.
So Burger King advertising worked out great, thanks. So that's kind of funny how that was actually how it came to be. Because as a kid, that's actually what was my father's, plan B for us. Because we were going to go see the movie with him, my brother, cousin, and I, and the lines were sold out on Saturday. So he said, well, there's a Burger King nearby. Well, at least I can get you a turtle tape and a shake. So I remember my chocolate shake. And April Foolish was my Burger King toy. And the trailer on there, you're right, though. It is on there. And, oh, man. Good old Burger King.
Yeah.
So,
So
let's see. So you had some toys growing up. So what inspired you, like you said, to say, you know what, I want to get, which prop appealed the most? And what was your, your purpose of collecting these? Just for fun? Or, what was your intention grabbing some of these?
So I more or less I really love the history of the film. So I'm really into the production. So the scripts from the movies, the Polaroid continuity photo or continuity photos, and reaching out to the cast and crew. So I really like how the movie was made. So just it kind of rolled into collecting the props. So back in 2015, I reached out to the prop master, and I just had purchased some katanas. That was the first movie prop that I obtained was Leonardo's katanas, and then I ended up getting some of Shredder's armor. So I reached out to him, and I flew out to North Carolina, met up with the prop master, and then he took me to the farmhouse, and it kind of all spiraled down from there. So I started out just wanting one movie prop, and then after that, I wanted to more or less preserve the history of the props, and eventually I'd like to have some kind of book made where I can kind of explain the details of every movie prop, and I have tons of behind the scenes photos. Just the amount of stuff that I have enough to fill a book. The stuff in my room is really all I can display. I have some stuff that I've kind of brought out that were in Rubbermaid containers, but I have a ton of other things that I haven't even shown or kind of put on display just because I just don't have the room.
Gotcha.
So
you said you went to the farmhouse. What was that experience like? Did you have any visions of just, where Donatello's walking around humming, or where him and Casey are working on the van? How did you get to go to that? That's awesome.
So what's funny is back in 2012 and 2013, I didn't even know that the farmhouse existed. I thought it was, maybe they used an older house or it was built for the set. So when I actually started like striking a friendship with the prop master, at the time they didn't even really want anyone to know about the house. They said that it was used for filming. It was a private residence that they used for like a summer home. Now it's turned into, like a wedding venue. So a lot more people know about it. But at the time, it was still in the original condition. So now if you look at it, a lot of it has been renovated. But at the time when I visited, they still had a lot of the exterior pieces, like the chimney was still there, and the barn house was the original way it was when they had the truck inside. Like if you went inside, it looked exactly how it was. Now it's like a prep station for the weddings. The barn was original, and that's actually like a scene where Mikey was punching a punching bag inside that barn. And it looked exactly the way it was back in 2015. So they did a lot of upgrades now or renovations, but it was cool to actually like step on the scene where they filmed the film, and I got to see how it was before everything was kind of updated.
It's just an awesome journey. I got to get out there one day then to actually check out do they have tours and whatnot for the farmhouse then? Like if you're like
they have like once a year they had the showing where they film or they show the movie inside the barn, and then they gave a tour of the house inside. What's funny is I have a friend in Ohio who his name's Ronnie. He actually got there after me, and when they were starting the renovation, they had the original bathtub inside at the time it was in the trash, but they had it inside the house, and it had a big crack on the top of it, and they just ended up throwing it away. But it was there for over 30 years, and luckily he was able to get some of the pieces from the bathtub, like the feet from it and a top piece, and he gave me some little chips from it as like a memento. But they still have all the original doors, and what's funny is the bathroom scene in the movie was a bedroom, and they just added the sink on the wall and the bathtub to make it look like it was a bathroom, but it was actually a bedroom in real life.
wow.
So
yeah. We even remember that scene where April's got the water. I mean, it actually felt to me, it still feels like it's a bathroom because April's putting the water on Raphael and she's just checking on him, and Leo's sitting there, in defeat pretty much with Raphael being injured. Wow, that's a really cool fun fact here I never knew.
Yeah, and what's funny too is the kitchen downstairs. They just added like the kitchen cabinets and sink and everything in the corner, but it's actually in the living room. So if you go into the house, the kitchen was in a completely separate room than what it was showing on the movie. So I mean, that's just kind of like movie magic for you. The original kitchen was way too small for them to film, because you got to think that there's the cameraman and the director, and like there's a whole crew that's inside this house. So they chose the living room because it's larger for them to stage as the kitchen. So in the movie, when you're actually watching it, none of that stuff actually existed that way. They just set it up for the decoration, for the set decoration.
That is really wild. So you went from Leonardo Katanas. Now, what's cool about turtles is, if you get one, that's why I'm scared. I collected a lot of the older figures. I'm still scared to buy the NECAs because they're a pretty penny. But as you know, Geoff, when you buy one, you kind of want to get them all. So you went from Leonardo's Katanas. Were you able to access any other Ninja Turtle weapons? Or did you get a set of all 4 of them?
Yeah, so I after I got Shredder's armor, I actually purchased a set of Sais from the first movie and the second movie, so I had both sets. And those I purchased directly from Ken Scott. His name was Ken Traum in the films. He started out as a foot soldier, and then he was promoted to a stunt turtle in the first movie after one of the stunt actors broke their nose on the park scene when they tossed the Raphael down into the trash can when he was fighting Casey.
And
He
kicks his
broke
feet up
the
in the air, right?
Chinese stunt actor broke his nose,
Oh my.
and he became Raphael. So at the end of the movie, he actually asked if he could take the Sais home, and he kept them. And he started bringing them to, he brought one of them to Comic Cons. So that's how I knew that he had a set. So I reached out to him, and I purchased one Sai, and then after a couple of years, he was able to sell me the second Sai. So the size that I have from the first movie. So they actually made two pairs for the first film, two like aluminum katanas, aluminum size, and then in the second movie they took one of the pairs from the first film and then rewrapped the leather. So the leather elements from the first movie were actually given by the Henson team, what they used like on their knee pads and their elbow pads. They wanted it to be kind of the same color leather. So they actually got them from them. And then the machine shop on site made the actual weapons for the prop master. So technically, there's only one set of katanas and sais from the first movie that actually matched the film, because the other pairs of weapons match the second movie now because they were rewrapped. And they were like I'll show you in a little bit,
Yeah.
but the weapons, they, intentionally distressed them and added like rust on them, which is just like hair dye to make it look like they're older, but they're supposed to be like found in the sewer type weapons. That's why in the first movie they're more aged looking, and then the second movie, with the parents complaining, they made them a little bit shinier and less, worn out looking.
Yeah, or like Michelle Ivy has a super fan. She actually has Michelangelo's combat cold cuts because you really couldn't use the weapons in the
Yeah.
second movie. Um,
Yeah, and so a little bit of history on the props. So the prop master in the first movie, his name was Robbie Beck. His assistant was PD Waldrop. So he was the assistant in the first movie, and then when the second movie started filming, they put all of the stuff in storage. So a lot of things were reused in the second film, and the new prop master, PD Waldrop, when the movie was done after the second film, he put everything in storage in case they needed to do any reshoots or anything. And the studio called him in 1999, they called him and said, hey, we need you to get rid of the stuff in that storage. And he worked for Screen Gem Studios. It was a different name back in the 90s, but they called him, told him to throw it all away. And that's when he started selling it. So he was selling all of the props back in 99 and 2000. So he was putting things on eBay. And then Michelle Ivy, she purchased a couple things from him. So everything either came from the prop master, PD Waldrop, from the second movie, or it was something that a cast or crew member took home after filming. So that's how I've been really obtaining a lot of the props. I was friends with PD, kind of struck up a friendship with him. He's now passed away, but he had all of the contacts of people he knew that had some of the movie props, and I reached out to a lot of the stunt actors who played the foot soldiers, and I was able to get several masks. I have 10 of them now, but that's really what I've been doing, is just reaching out to contacts over the years. So most of what I've bought has been directly from the cast, the crew, the prop master, and luckily he didn't throw any of it away, and he was able to sell some of the stuff. He did have like 200 Ooze canisters, and he tried to sell them in 2003. He sold a couple boxes of them, and then everything else, kind of like the background canisters, nobody wanted at the time, because back in like 2003, there wasn't really a lot of following for Ninja Turtles at the time. So he just threw them in a bonfire and burned them all. So kind of sucks that some of the props, if there was more interest, he probably could have sold them to them. But a lot of things were really dirt cheap back then because really nobody wanted Ninja Turtle stuff at the time.
So, oh my god! So imagine this. So we had y'all know the infamous Atari landfill with ET. So it almost was like the exact same thing with all these Ooze canisters. Oh my goodness! I would have never
Yeah,
guessed that.
it's too bad, really. I mean, there's probably a good 25 floating around that sold in the 2003 auction. I have one of the Ooze canisters that the professor actually emptied in the movie. So the one that he is in the lab and he connects it, it's got this little like nipple tube on the bottom, and it was full of actual real ooze and then drained on set. So there was only one of those that they modified to make drain on site or on set. And then the other ones were just painted inside with like a green paint.
Oh wow! So for those listening on Spotify and YouTube, just the audio portion, can you describe how sharp the weapons feel and how sharp Shredder's armor is that you have? And also, I believe you also have the helmet I saw on your Instagram too, correct?
Yeah. So the katanas and the sais are real aluminum. And then they also had rubber stunt versions. One of the sets for the katanas, one of the assistant prop masters gave to his kid and played with them outside and kind of ruined them. Those ones were rubber, but there's actually, they're pretty dull, and on the edges of them you can see where they've hit for the katanas. But there is one spot on one of the blades that Casey Jones was cutting the carrots in the farmhouse. So that is the only part that's actually sharp on the katanas. Everything else is kind of dulled down just for safety for the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then the sais are just dull. They're rounded at the tip.
How about Shredder's armor?
So Shredder's armor, there was two different styles. One was like more of like a fiberglass, so it is pretty sharp, but it's just fiberglass, so it's not very strong. And then the other sets were like rubber, like a kind of what they made the suits out of, the Ninja Turtle suits. So it's like a foam latex rubber. So they're actually the little bit of history for part one. So a guy named Rodney Gordon made the movie, the Shredder stuff for the first movie. He made the helmet and the armor. And he didn't return for the second movie. So they actually took his armor and then made copies of it, which is not very detailed. So the part two stuff is actually in better shape because they used a different material for the armor itself. So it's still flexible and pliable, and it feels like probably how it felt on the first day of filming. But the part one Shredder stuff is really brittle. If you try to put it on, it would break. It would crack in half. So it was just, movie props weren't really intended to last forever. It was just meant for making that shot, and then afterwards it really went in the trash, or someone took it home as a memento. So they didn't really care to make something last. It was just there for the film. So they actually created several sets of armor for the dummy Shredder. There was a dummy that they created that they actually filmed that tossed into the garbage truck at part one. So I have some dummy Shredder stuff, and then I have some of the part one screen use Shredder armor, and then part two. So I didn't pull a lot of it out just because it's kind of in bad shape. I don't know if I'm ever going to restore it because it's all original, but the claws I have on display, and those are in pretty decent shape. So I'll show you those today.
Oh, I'm very excited to check those out. You also collected some crew items. Can you tell us how you ended up getting those? I see you had a stunt chair and some stuff like that too.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff came from PD Waldrop. So I got the chair back from him, a couple shirts from him. The prop master from the first movie, I got his jacket. And then I have a a watch and a hat that came from another crew member. So those just came from reaching out to them. A lot of the times I'll just find them on Facebook and I'll talk to them for a while and then ask them if they took anything home after filming. And sometimes they don't want to sell anything, which I don't try to bother them. But if they ever are open to selling, then I'm usually there to buy. So a lot of this stuff, like when I was buying 10 years ago, really nobody was really collecting this stuff. So I was able to, reach out to several of these guys and buy for a good price.
I say, I mean, you and Michelle Abbey alone, just you two could have your own super Ninja Turtle museum because she's got some of the heads from the third movie she's shown me. So, oh my goodness. Two other ones I want to get into before we do the virtual tour, because I'm looking at that photo. Don't worry, guys. We're going to get to that photo behind our friend Geoff there. That's a nice piece that I don't think many people have seen unless you follow him on Facebook or Instagram. How did you come up with the Raphael trench coat? Like, you were just on a mission to grab everything. You've got foot soldier mask, costumes, even the trench coat that Raphael uses when he goes out to see that Critter movie. How'd you come up with the trench coat?
The set of the second movie, the subway scene, was dismantled and moved over to Oregon when they filmed the third movie. And then after that, it went to Vancouver. And the producer of the Next Mutation movie, he had a sale last September. And it was a lot of the Ninja Turtle 3 heads and suit pieces and some of the shells. And on the set, one of the trench coats was there. So a lot of people didn't know that it was even for sale because they had it marked as a Ninja Turtle 3 trench coat. But the reason why I know that it's from the first movie is everything matches from it. But the company called Parsons Mirrors, they are like a Broadway production company in New York. They made all of the wardrobe for the first movie. So if it has a Parsons Mirrors tag on it, then you know it's from the first movie. So they made all the foot soldier costumes. They made the Shredder outfit. They made the trench coats. And then Rodney Gordon, who made the Shredder helmet, he's the one who actually made the hat for Raphael. So it's really large. The hat is. I know a collector who owns that got it from the costume designer. It's intended to be put on a Ninja Turtle head, so it's huge. And then same with the trench coat. It's like 5XL. It's a huge coat. So it accommodated, the shell and the padded arms, and it's pretty long too. So what's cool about it is you weren't really able to see much of the inside of the coat on the film. Like when he flips open his jacket to show his Sais to the two robbers who get the purse, you could see a little bit of it, but there's like polo horses on the inside, which is cool. And then when Raphael's in the subway scene, when he jumps up and kicks, you can actually see the inside too. So some of that stuff you didn't really even see the details on. So it was cool to actually have this in hand and be able to, try it on and see how, large it was in real life.
So that's the one that, so you mentioned Kenn Scott earlier, and I know in his book he talks about he was the turtle who actually ran into the cab. So can you confirm, is that the coat that he actually wore when he took that shot and got hit by the cab? Wow.
So the thing is they had, like I said earlier, they had like 2 or 3 of everything. They only had 2 jackets at the time. So I actually have copies of the costume designs for the first movie, and it shows like how many outfits of each they made. They were filming simultaneously. So like there was a first unit and a second unit. So one turtle would be, doing the speaking roles, and then the other turtle would be doing the stunts. So there was both jackets on set. So it's the one that was mainly used has a tear in the arm that you can see, and there's some of the inside was torn and hanging down, but it kind of switches between both, where one, the stunt actor's wearing it, and then the Josh Pies is wearing the other jacket. So yeah, Ken Scott, he did the stunts for the subway scene. So he did all of the fighting in the subway. And then he did the running across the street, getting hit by the car. And then he did some of the rooftop stunts as well. So he was actually the foot soldier on that scene.
Oh, that's correct.
Where they're fighting on the rooftop.
So, do you have Michelangelo's nunchucks or Donatello's bow? So the only two we have. Are you on a mission to get those, or you do have those too? Wow! So you do have the whole set.
Yeah. So those ones I have are just the stunt. So there was three different styles of bows. There was a one that was like an off the shelf like padded bow, like what the foot soldiers used. You know, like the black bows that have like the foam on them.
Yes.
And then what the prop master did is they just took wood contact paper that you'd use like, you know, for like shelving or like a door. It looks like simulated wood, and they wrapped the bow in that. So there was that style, and then there was rubber bows that were used for the stunt fighting, and then there was real wood bows that they used. So the one I have is a rubber stunt version, and it was used in the apartment fight scenes, and then it was used on one clip on the rooftop where they tossed the weapons. That one is the bow that I have. And then the nunchuck, I only have one nunchuck, but it's a rubber version, so it's foam latex like the turtle suits. And it's pretty brittle because of how old it is, and it's, you know, just like the suits themselves where they don't last. And it has wood inserted inside for like rigidity, and that was used in the apartment scene where Michelangelo's spinning on the ground. If it shows a close up of him, and you can see him holding the stunt set, and then when the foot soldier kind of swipes at his head and he ducks down in the trailer where he says, you know, I love being a turtle. It's in the movie. He's holding him then. And then also Splinter holds them at the end when he's holding the weapon with Shredder. So those are the three scenes that those chucks were using. But they also had real wood nunchucks as well, which were like the hero chucks for close-up scenes.
So
I do have a. What was that?
Just for fun, I was gonna say. So did you take those and say Wheel of Fortune, dude, and spin yourself around, or ask somebody to spin you? Because that's a spot in the movie.
No, I keep them kind of packed away just because they're foam latex, and like, you know, air getting to them kind of gets them to be more brittle. Like if you held them in hand, you would feel how brittle they are. They're almost like a crispy potato chip at this point. So it is foam on the inside, but then they're painted brown, so the paint is kind of holding them nicely together, but you can't really squeeze them or flip them around or anything. They're kind of like Michelle's combat cold cuts. Hers are made of the same type of material, but hers seem to be in better shape than what my Part 1 chucks are in.
Gosh. All right, are you ready to start giving us a grand tour?
Sure.
All right, so
let me flip the camera.
Yes.
All
oh
right.
my gosh, guys, enjoy this. This is some stuff you've never seen before.
So this is the crew jacket and the chair back that I was sitting on. Up here, this is actually the back of the VHS tape from one of the episodes. So this is the back there.
The Hot Rodding Teenagers.
From Hot Rodding Teenagers. So you can see it's painted with acrylic and airbrush. It was done by an artist named Greg Martin. So that's pretty cool. And then there's the farmhouse drawing. So it's 11 by 17. It's pretty large.
So this is almost like a deleted scene, right? Because this is for those listening now. This is when April pretty much. You can walk us through it, Geoff. You know this scene very well, I'm sure. Yeah.
So if you actually look at the sticker books too, there's stickers in there where it shows him punching a punching bag. I actually I own the daily footage that they filmed. So like every night when they were done filming, they would send the footage to the directors, or not to the directors, the creators, Eastman and Laird. And it shows different takes, but there is nothing in there for the farmhouse. But I'm assuming that they filmed it, but they just didn't use any of the footage. And I believe they didn't want to because Michelangelo, is kind of the cool dude, and he's, compared to the cartoon, they didn't want him looking as aggressive in the film. So I believe that's why they just never used the footage. So down here, this is some of the part 1 armor. So that's how it looks. You can see some of the silver detailing that is kind of flaking off, like in the film. But yeah, these ones are in pretty rough shape. They're pretty brittle. This is some from the shoulder armor. So these were all used in the film, but the silver is kind of flaked off over time. So there was some Velcro underneath that held the armor to the shoulder pads. And then this is one of the claws that was used in the film. So you could see how the silver is just not lasting very long after time.
Oh yeah. It's over 30 years old.
This is one, yeah. So even you couldn't even put this on because it's just kind of shrunk over time, and there was Velcro. Actually, you can see right there. See how there's Velcro, and that's how it held together.
Oh yeah.
But just over time, they're just not very, they just kind of shrunk and stayed in that place. But then these are from the second movie, and you can see that they're not as detailed, but you could still put these on. So they're Velcro and straps here, and just everything's nice and flexible compared to the first movie. And then that's one of the leg armor pieces from the second movie as well. And then these down here, these are some of the tabby boots that one of the foot soldiers wore. So I have those down there. And then this is a Tohka Spike.
Oh.
So, and after the second movie, Jim Henson, they were worried about their stuff getting stolen. One of the heads actually got stolen and it was returned, but he ordered everybody within the crew to cut up all of the suits. So all the Tohka suits were cut up, all the turtle suits were cut up, and this was kind of saved as one of the mementos. So it's actually made of silicone, so it's still pretty soft, but you can see the paint detailing is pretty detailed on it.
Wow. That's one of them where he got stuck in the sewer, right? When he jumped down in the second movie, Michelangelo's tickling his feet.
So then this is the Ooze canister. You can see some of the remnants of the ooze that was in there. I can't remember what the combination was, but I think it was like Elmer's glue and something else. There was a combination of 3 ingredients that made the ooze. But you can see right here that it's got this nipple that they used to drain it. It's got some cracks on it, but that's from the film. This was a first printing, so I just have that on display. It's graded comic. And then up here I have one of the Jim Henson hats. This came from Michelin Sisti, the actor who played Michelangelo.
Unbelievable.
And then down here, so there was a stunt actor named Tom DeWeer. He passed away, and he did all the stunts for Shredder. So when Shredder fell off the building, he's the one who did that stunt. So this was the helmet that he wore, and then the helmet went on top of this. So that's kind of a cool piece. These were on the dummy Shredder. So the top crown and the face mask, and then I have the claw that the dummy Shredder used as well. So they weren't really needed to be detailed because it was just filmed to fall off the building. So that's why it's not like exactly like the film version, but everything else is pretty detailed, like as far as the patterns go. And this one's a lot better shape for the strap since it was just used by a dummy instead of a human.
Goodness.
So,
And the hits just keep on coming.
This is another claw. So this is the one that when he pulls the photo out of the turtle drawing out of Danny's back pocket. This is the one that you see in the film, and you can tell because there's this little like black pattern on the base of the blade, and that matches exactly on the film. So
you're lying to me, and you're hiding something as well. That's the spot. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then this is a original Polaroid photo of the claw. So I have 3 total claws. 2 were used by Shredder, and then the one was used by the dummy. So, and then this is the jacket. So you can see the different polo horse patterns that they had. And then everything was intentionally like distressed. So like everything is frayed. Down at the bottom, it's the same way. Everything has frays on it. But that's the jacket itself. I do have the poster that I plan to put on, so I'm going to display the poster for it. But
sure. What's the artwork like on that shirt? Yeah, I'm curious to see what the artwork looks like on that shirt.
So that's one of the crew shirts.
Okay.
This is a badge that they used to get on set of the second movie. And then there was a jacket that I got from one of the foot actors. And then the crew hat. I've never seen another one of the crew hats for the second movie. So I eventually plan on getting just a display by itself for the jacket. But this is what I had originally for all of the crew items, and I just put it on here for now.
Oh, can we see the t-shirt really quick if you don't mind, Geoff? I wanted to see the artwork on that, the turtles too. I wanted to see how they actually, if they have like how they look. See, those are the turtles I missed. See that grin on their faces? See, that's why I wish, they have all this new turtle stuff that's based on our generation's turtles, and they're always got this dopey looking happy face, and it kind of cringes me sometimes, but I wish they could have that back. That just looks amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That looks fantastic.
Yeah. So this is the Ooze canister that they made for the first film. So everyone asked me, why does it say TCRI? In the original comics, it was TCRI. And then I don't know if there was licensing issues or something, but they had to change it for the second film. So they did TGRI. I think there must have been a company that used this name. But if you look in the first volume comics, everything is TCRI. So TGRI was actually made for the second movie, and it wasn't really used anywhere else. And then down here, I have one of the business cards by Richard Waldrop. He went by Petey. So that's one he gave when he was on set. And then here, this is not movie related, but this is from the Fugitoid comic. So this was made in 1985 and drawn by the creators of the Ninja Turtles, Eastman and Laird. So I just kind of have that on display with it. And then this is the Chucks from the first movie. So, yeah. So you can kind of see how, brittle they are, and they're just, not in good shape anymore. And then they're the Katanas. So what's cool is you can see that there's still some green paint on the leather, because in between filming, they had to touch up the hands. So some of it just kind of soaked into the leather. So all of this stuff here, this is like brushed on. It's like a discontinued hair dye that they bought. So it just made it look like, they were found in the sewer kind of thing.
Wow. Is that
And this one was,
incredible, Geoff?
this is the one that Casey Jones actually used to chop the carrots in the movie. So it's sharpened right there, right on the edge.
Just for that spot,
And
like you said
then
earlier. Wow.
this one itself was used in the, or I mean, both of them were, but you can match this one by the patterns on here to the scene where they're fighting, they're practicing in the farmhouse outside. And then another Polaroid photo. And then these are the Sais. So you can see that they're pretty beat up over time. So I don't know if you guys can see the details, but same thing. They have, these ones have green paint on them as well. See if I can get in the light.
Let's see. Yeah, you can see a little bit of granite on the bottom part, right, Geoff? Near like the end where you grip it? Yeah. Okay, I can make that out.
So, and these ones match probably 90% of the movie, these two Sais, just by based on like the leather wrapping. What's funny is, so this Sai, April's holding when she is fighting in the subway scene, and then they kick the Sai out of her hand. And then this one is the one that Raphael actually grabs. So it's a little bit of a continuity thing. If you see the movie and you actually own the props, you can see the difference in the leather wrapping. So down here, I don't know if you can see these very well, but these are the scars that Shredder had. So I met with the makeup supervisor. His name is Jeff Goodwin. He sold me the case that he used on set, which I have photos of him on set of the farmhouse with. This was his badge he used to get on set as well. But he did all the scars for Shredder. So this one here is the one that was in the flashback scenes where Splinter scratches his face and it's all bloody. So that's what they applied to his face. And they're actually made out of bald cap material. So they're still in pretty good shape for being 30 years old. This one was just a backup, never used. And then this one is the actual screen used Shredder scar from the rooftop where he takes his mask off.
Now I will finish when I began with your ear, right? Where he touches it. That's the spot,
Yeah.
right? Oh, man.
Yep. So that's the actual scar. So he saved all of them. He pulled them off the actor, James Satos. These here were given to Mikey during before the filming. So these are what they gave him to practice with before the movie started. So those came from the wardrobe department, and they're just like wood nunchucks. And he sent them to me signed. This is a one of the crew watches. So this was given to the second unit director after filming. So on the back of it, it has like a little inscription. So
Hey, I can see the turtle
Terry
logo.
Warner, thank you.
It comes out.
And then down here, these are some of the foot masks I have. So the ones still with the mesh on the eyes are from the second movie. They're also like a lighter color compared to part one. The part one mesh didn't survive very well because it was made of a different material. And during the heat, it just kind of started crumbling. So I have several here where the mesh is just not in good shape.
Have you tried one on, Geoff, just to see what it's like? What's it feel like? Okay, can you describe what it's like wearing one of those?
It's really tight and it's harder to see, but probably not as hard to see as being in a turtle suit. These are some of the arm guards that they used. So in the first film, it just had like a little bar that they sewed on to the side or glued on. So they're really like floppy. And when you watch the first movie, that's how they are. But in the second movie, they improved the design and they actually like glued on the same mesh that they use for the eyes, and they form to the actual arm guard. So these ones are, more sturdier. I also have some of the knee pads that they used. And these are the wrist wrapping that went underneath the arm guards that they put on. So I almost have enough for a second suit, but I need the pants and the shirt. I have everything else besides those.
Unbelievable.
But this is one of the full foot costumes. It's the only one that I've actually found that was, full costume. But it's actually made of, like, if you can see that, it's like a mesh material. So you can see through the body. So they actually wore a white t-shirt underneath. But there's actually, let's see if I can go up close. There's these little like silver like rivet on them.
Yeah, we can.
And it actually made it look sparkly in the, like sparkled in the sun. And that's how Shredder's is too. So same company made them. But these ones they spray painted like with a black dye. So most of them are black, but some of them you can see are still silver.
Unbelievable.
And then down here, this is an actual concept sketch for the Ooze canister for the first movie. Got that from the prop master.
Oh, wow.
So that's what they designed it to be with the little end caps.
Does it have the letters on there, TGRI, anywhere? I'm trying to see if it shows on there.
No.
No? Okay.
It actually had like this triangle design, I think for like Biohazard right there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But this was like an early concept sketch.
Okay.
And then down here, this is just in a case, but I have the original scripts from the first and second movie. And then this is the storyboard binder from Pat Johnson. So he was the referee on the Karate Kid, but he was the stunt coordinator for the movie. And that was his actual binder from the movie. You can see his name on the side. He passed away a couple years ago as well.
Oh, wow. Were you able to meet Pat Johnson? Did you buy this directly from him, or did you get to talk to him at all?
No, it actually came from a foot actor. The foot actor took it home, and he must have asked Pat Johnson at the end of the movie if he could take it, and that's where I got it from. And then this was a fire hydrant that was used on set in the back lot. So it's just made of fiberglass. So it's like, pretty light, hand painted. And then this is the Shredder helmet.
Now, is that from the first or second movie?
This is, from the first movie. You can actually see see these cracks on the top shell, the crown. Those you can actually match on the screen too. So if you go to my Instagram, I have all of my weapons and everything I've screen matched in the movie. So you can see kind of how everything matches up. So, but yeah, that's basically what I have on display.
Oh, Geoff, I can't thank you enough for all these turtle fans who see this are going to be. Now, what are your future goals with your collection now? What are you looking to add? And are you trying to maybe get like some sort of museum or visit people to check this out? Because, I mean, this would just be great to see in person someday, Geoff. This is a phenomenal collection.
So I live in Seattle, and I was actually supposed to have all my stuff at the, it's called Mopop. It's a museum for like pop culture. And I had my stuff intended to go there, but then COVID happened and I never really followed up with it. So it's something that I'd love to have all my stuff on display, or at least, some of the stuff from the first movie. So that's something that I've always wanted to do. Like before, I said I wanted to do a book. So kind of have high detailed, high resolution photos of every prop and a description about the history of it. But like I said, I have tons of behind the scenes photos, Polaroids. I have the original script contract that Bobby Herbeck signed to write the movie. I have like schedules and letters to the foot soldiers, like to call the answer machine to see which days they're going to be filming. Like I have all kinds of paperwork and stuff that I'd love to have on display. I just don't really have anywhere to put it. So yeah, I don't think I showed the bow staff, but
yeah, that's the last one to complete all 4.
This is actually made of rubber, and you can see all the like cuts and everything. Yeah. This was hand painted, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is a great tour. Now with that script, just one final question. Now that's just from start to finish, or is there like director's cut in there? Because I'm still trying to figure out why there's supposed to be like a longer farm fight scene. Is the script just from start to finish, or is there stuff that's like a deleted scene in there?
Yeah, it's mostly just start to finish. If you actually get your hands on a storyboard script, that actually has more of the scenes that are cut, because there's several scenes that they're going to be releasing. There's a Kickstarter going on where they're going to release all the daily footage. So there's actually a scene where like Ernie Reyes Jr., who played Keno in the second movie, he was a jewelry thief in the first movie, so they filmed some scenes from that. Shows Casey Jones like in his house flipping through the channel. So they're actually going to be releasing that this year. And some of that stuff is in the script, but the storyboard script is actually what you'd love to see, because there's additional things in there. Like the bell suit in the second movie where they take all the bells off of the suit, the foot soldier.
How ironic is that, actually? Because Kenn was a jewelry thief in the first one. How ironic is that? That's kind of cool, actually. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So in the first movie, they actually had that in the storyboards as well. There was actually storyboards too where the Ooze canister was supposed to bounce down the stairs. That's why they created it. I don't know if they filmed it because I only have about 3 hours of the daily footage, when I'm sure there's probably a lot more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, oh my gosh, well, I can't wait for that Kickstarter. So Geoff, before we let you go, can you please share your Instagram with us and any other ways that fans can get in contact with you, just to at least see this collection a little bit up close if they want to read the pictures and some of your fun facts?
So my Instagram is just Geoff Cort. It's GEOFF_CORT. It's just my name. And then, yeah, if you go on Facebook, I'm Geoff Cort on there as well. So I don't have a cool name or anything for my Instagram.
Gotcha.
But yeah, everything's on there. I probably have other things on there too. Like I have a lot of like unproduced armor, or production made armor for Shredder, like where it wasn't painted, they just made it and then it just didn't get used. So there's a lot of things that I have that I just haven't, sent photos of. So.
Oh man. Well, Geoff, thank you very much for your time. So before we let you go, do you have any favorite Master Splinter quotes from the cartoon, comics, movies?
So from the movie, I always like Cowabunga, the end quote at the end. But now that I've had a couple sons, I always like the scene at the farmhouse where they have the campfire, and he says, or with Danny, kind of the split scene where he says, all fathers care for their sons. I've always liked that quote when he's talking to Danny.
Same here. I'm very tight with my dad, and I always think of my dad too when I see that spot. Well, Geoff, that's going to do it, man. Thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good one, man.